Welcome to AI for Growth, Lessons from Leaders. I'm your host, Megan Driscoll. AI for Growth is a podcast that demystifies AI for business owners. Each episode features conversations with leaders who share their experiences, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly of AI implementation. We aim to help businesses understand how and where AI can effectively scale your operations, focusing on practical insights rather than just hype. Welcome. Welcome to AI for Growth, Lessons from Leaders. I am, as always, very excited about my upcoming podcast guest, but today I am particularly excited to have with me Jonathan Kvarfordt from OneMind, and marketing genius, and I think somebody that's really going to help small businesses identify ways in which they can utilize AI in the space of sales and marketing. So anyway, Jonathan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business?
Well, of course, I just want to say first, thank you, Megan, for having me on, and thank you for everyone for listening, to taking the time. I really appreciate it. So honored to be here. So I'm the VP of Marketing at OneMind. It's an AI technology. The best way I can describe it is we use conversational AI tech to be able to talk with your team to customers or to talk to your customers directly to help actually convert to pipeline and revenue. So what I love about it is that, for example, one of our main use cases, if people have seen this, is having like if you think about having an expert on your website who knows everything about your technology, and you as an owner can decide on how far you want that AI to take someone down your sales process. It could be from cold to warm to all the way to buying your product, or it could be just getting it ready for a conversation with you. You get to decide. And imagine, again, having that expert on the website so the buyer has an amazing buyer experience and doesn't have to go through chatbot hell and or trying to look through your website, because sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. They're just looking for something that they hope they can help understand your business. So we want to make sure it's an easier process for buyers to go through by using AI to make a better experience overall.
That's cool. So tell me a little bit about how that works. Is it sitting is it in a chat box where you have to say, do you want more help? Or how does it start engaging with the customer?
Well, that's the thing, is it kind of depends on each place. So if you go to our own website, it's a great example of how we've done it. So if you go to our website, the only thing you'll see is our own superhuman, which is called Mindy. And she will take you through any question you want to go through. She'll go really in depth. So it's not just a yes, no, do we do this, do we do that? You can ask some pretty advanced technical questions, and she'll go through and answer a lot of things that someone may want to know if they're more familiar with this. So if they don't know anything at all, she can take it from scratch. Other people use it as a way of saying, hey, do you want to get a demo right now? Or they want to see, do you want to have an in-depth walkthrough of whatever product you have? And they use that as the way to get people in. And as soon as they opt in, all of a sudden the screen pops up, and then there's a superhuman who will walk them through whatever products. So we work with healthcare, and then there's physical products like Boston Dynamics. There's obviously technology. There's a lot of different ways we can go through someone's own product. But it's really about let's again create the best experience that you want to have as a brand, and then we make sure the technology fits in line with what you're wanting to envision.
Yeah, I could see this be really helpful in a lot of different aspects, particularly in really technical sales of where you have a tech person who just kind of wants to get the technical material. You can just kind of and that's the stuff that salespeople don't like to talk about, because they're like, yeah, just get to the sale. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's cool. Okay, maybe we could, my audience is small businesses, and so this is under 50 employees. They might be even under $1 million, or up to $5-10 million in revenue. That's kind of the sweet spot here. May not necessarily be ready for a salesperson bot, if you will, a Mindy. But can you tell me just a little bit? I know you've done a lot of work in this space of AI and marketing and what's working and what's not working. Can you just kind of school us a little bit on, you do go by coach, so school us a little bit on, coach us a little bit on ways in which small businesses can implement AI within their marketing and sales engines that you've seen successful.
I'm going to give an alternative view to you, because you say they're not ready, and I think it's the prime time to use it. So let me tell you why. I grew up, my dad owned a tire store that had 20 employees. We did $2 million a year. I'm very familiar with this because I ran the store myself for 10 years. So the pains that people go through as a small business is something I know intimately well, from being a kid all the way to running it for, when my dad had some health issues, I was the one running the shop. So I did payroll, I did the marketing, I did advertising, I did the website, I did everything. So I'm very familiar with what goes on. And in that scenario, let's just use a tire store as an example. In that scenario, if I had the ability to have an expert tire person on my website to help someone actually decide and make decisions and to buy on the website, I would do that in a heartbeat. It's like having a pro salesperson, because the problem with myself, or not myself, but with the team, was that it was really difficult to find people in person who were really good at building the relationship and making sure people are there and to sell it. Because like in a tire store, you may see someone once or twice and you have to sell it pretty quickly. You don't have a lot of time. But to be fair, a lot of the people who came in to our store came to the website first. So again, the question is, how do I make that experience the best that it can be? And even though, like, for example, we're not like price comparable, like trying to compare us to a chatbot is like comparing a Ferrari to a bike. It's just not even close. They're both travel experiences, but one's way better, way faster, way obviously more effective. And so in for a small business, trying to make sure you have the best experience there, I think is one of the best ways, because it's almost like having a full-time employee on the website all the time that can actually close deals for you. And that to me is very much worth the price. Now, with that being said, with besides OneMind, there is a ton of other things coming out. In fact, Claude just came out with their own package for small businesses last week, which is a kind of like if you're not familiar, there's a company called Anthropic, who is a competitor to ChatGPT. Their AI is called Claude, and they just released a version, quote unquote, a version of it that's for small business specifically. And what they did is they put together packages that has things like marketing and then like finance or accounting, and all these things are kind of set up so that all you have to do as a user is connect your whatever your accounting system, whether it's oh crap, I can't remember the word, what name of the one most of you people use. Anyways, whether it's an Excel sheet or whatever you use for accounting, all the way to payroll,
QuickBooks
to
or whatever.
QuickBooks or whatever. Like, you connect all these systems together, and then the AI can be like an assistant for you to help you with all these things. You have to do it by yourself. So it helps to streamline and optimize you as an owner very quickly. So if no one's doing that, I would say definitely do that, because it's like 20, maybe $50 a month. It's well worth $20 a month to have a really, really powerful assistant by your side.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about you have to pay for these things. If you go with the free version, you're never going to get what you want. You don't get the project folders and all the work. Right. I really am liking Claude Cowork right now quite a bit, and I've looked into the small business. I haven't spent a lot of time in there yet, just to kind of like see what's the functionality and what would be the difference between, there's so many choices. This is the problem, though. The problem is it's really overwhelming, right? There's like, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, and nobody knows what to do. One of the things that I've been advising people is, one of the things I'm amazed about is how many small businesses are running their sales operation on Excel spreadsheets, which is just, I mean, I get it. Like it's an easy way to start, but it's just like impossible to manage. So I've been helping companies implement like go high level CRMs that then can connect. At least we're not going to lose leads. Like at least at a bare minimum, we're going to communicate with our customers. We're going to not lose leads. And then from there, you can bolt on all this other AI kind of like slowly, how do you, if you were advising a small business on their marketing strategy, like, do you have like your top hits of things that people should really be doing? Like, what should they be doing right now? Let's say they post on Instagram. Let's say they post on Meta. They do some ads. They do pay some money. They send people to their website. Maybe they have a funnel that's, with a lead magnet or something like that. What do you suggest that they do? Like, what are your top 3, like, things that they should be doing?
Oh gosh. Well,
I'm putting you on the spot, coach.
No, it's okay. It depends on obviously the product, because if it's physical like tires, or if it's online, like whatever you might be selling online, it's a little bit different. But I'll give some general principles that I believe works no matter what the size or company, or B2B to B2C. First off, it's really understanding who are you selling to? Who's your ideal buyer? If you don't understand, and I would say most people probably listening to this probably know their buyers pretty well, but the real question is like, why do they buy from you? Like, what's the pains they go through? What is the person that comes to your store, your product, your company? My first question is, what is it that you give them in whatever way, shape, and form, product or services? What is it you give them that's like they get 100x value? What is that? And once you understand that, then you ask the question, what was happening inside of their company before they came to buy from you, or their own personal lives of B2C? What was going on to trigger them to actually buy this product? I don't care if it's $20 or $3,000, it doesn't matter, or $100,000. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, what is the problem, and how well do you understand your buyer? And then my next question would be is, how are you helping and giving value to that buyer, whether they buy from you or not? So for example, if I'm doing, I think a lot of people do a lot of advertising that's very selfish, meaning that all they do is talk about me, my product, blah, blah, blah. And it's not enough about them, the buyer, and what they're going through. So the question is, okay, what is something, and I don't just mean like a general overall personality quiz. I mean something that's actually legit valuable, that is something that, again, whether you're buying tires, if I made some sort of how to buy tires guide or something like that for someone who I know is having issues and who I know has been burned from other tire stores in the past, how do I help them make better decisions so that it's number one, valuable, number two, my brand gets in their mind, and number three, they start to trust me. Like I got to have all three of these things. So it's really figuring out what that is, and you create whatever content you want, which again doesn't have to be complex. We're not looking for actual product. We're looking for something valuable. I like cheat sheets. I like in-depth guides. I like, but it's usually focused on whatever problem they're going through. So that's, I think, number one. Those two things with ICP. Next,
know your buyer, know what their pain points are, and give them something free. Basically, give them your knowledge without trying to sell to them.
It's not just free; it's valuable. It's not the same. It's something. Right. I would say it's something that they would pay for that you're giving away for free. It's got to be something meaty. And then next would be. I'd probably say, where does your buyer hang out? Like, again, with me, B2B, all my buyers listening to podcasts and newsletters, or et cetera, et cetera. But when I was doing B2C, it was a different thing. Like, my buyers were technically everywhere because buying tires. But I would go to parking lots. I'd go to different places. And, like, I'd think of what can I do for people and where do they hang out and how do I get their attention by giving them something valuable, you know? So once you answer that question, then it's just a matter of just connecting the dots of how we can be creative and get them into our thing. You know, like we would do this thing where we had this little small bag with little plastic tires, and we called them tire seeds. And we go into parking lots and we put them on people's windshields that we knew their tires were bald, saying, "Hey, this will help you grow new tires." And then we had a QR code that went to like how to buy a tires guide and find the best prices in town or something. That's
cute.
And it worked. It worked really well. We had people land on the website. And again, if I had 1 minute at the time, I would totally have one of our superhumans on the website to help kind of guide them and help sell them on the stuff. But it's just anything I can do to get them kind of involved. So third thing is it's really figuring out who is in your space that has the ear of your buyer. So obviously you want to build your own list, but the best way to leverage and get up fast is figuring out, okay, who listens to my buyer. It used to be in the olden days, it would be TV and radio. Now there's creators everywhere. It's you, it's other podcasts, it's newsletters, it's all this other stuff of figuring out who in your niche has the ear of who you ideally could sell to, and what can you give to that creator that's valuable, whether it's a podcast with good content or whether it's like you have a book of buyer's guide of whatever. You say, hey, I'm going to give your audience this buyer's guide that's legit really good. And they're like, heck yeah, I'll do that, because they want to give something like you want to give valuable content to your audience because it builds your reputation as a creator. So if you think about it from your lens, saying, okay, what would Megan want for her audience? What would be beneficial for her? How does she win? And how can I connect with her to make it valuable for her? And then I get into that audience by creating value. Does that make sense, hopefully?
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that matters if it's B2B, B2C. It's all about what is someone looking for and how can I be, what is my angle that's unique to others? Does that help?
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think one of the things that I think B2C customers struggle with, right, is this just, it's, well, they're everywhere. Or how do you get them if it's like, I'm a nail salon, any woman is like any woman in my area is a person I could market to. Look, how do you do that? And I think it's interesting because I do think one of the strategies that really works is turning a B2C concept to a B2B. Like, so where are those your person that's going to buy from you, your nail salon person, where else are they hanging out? And how do you work with those businesses, right, in collaboration and in referral base to kind of create that? And there can be a real big bang for your buck when you do that.
Well, it's even like getting really specific. Like I had a friend who we did this with a massage parlor. It was her own company, very, very small business. And she had clientele, and I started to notice a pattern in the vibe that both her and her clients had. So it was a vibe thing. Like she was a more expensive massage person. So the person that she had, or people that she had, were people are a little bit more well-to-do, and you figure out, okay, now they're well-to-do, they get a lot of value out of the service. Where else are they hanging out, and who else listens to them, and what is it about them? What is that vibe? If you had to describe it, which is honestly a difficult process because you have to sit down either with yourself or even with AI and have this conversation with AI. Turn on the voicemail and say, okay, I'm trying to figure out a vibe. I'm going to tell you what I think I'm seeing in the clientele that I'm seeing. You tell me what the consistent thing is and where I can find more of them. And then you start talking. They're well-to-do. They're in this location. They like this kind of stuff. They probably like to do their hair, like blah, 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 all this other stuff. And then the AI will be like, oh yeah, you can find these people, bam, all these different places, So obviously I would say use AI with all parts of your process, but this is using it as a thought partner in this kind of thing is very, very helpful.
Yeah, agreed. One of the things I'm going to be doing is a webinar on creating an origin story within your AI.
Nice.
I am amazed at how many people are like, a what? Huh? What do you mean? I just asked it questions and it's going to learn over time. And it's like, well, yeah, it's going to learn infinitely faster if you tell them all about yourself from the get-go, right? So people are really I was actually really surprised at how few people had done this. So I'm actually going to do a free webinar on teaching people how to create a solid origin story that then becomes the basis, obviously, as you know, for all answers moving forward. And I actually have a newsletter coming out with like 50 questions that you can use to kind of create your origin story. And, I think this leads me to this. I have another person I'm going to have on the podcast later in the month, and she is a AI guru, AI to the stars kind of thing. She consults with Adidas and Pepsi and all these places, and she is like concerned about what's going to happen to small businesses. I mean, in fact, she said like 85% of small businesses that are in operation today are going to be out of business in 3 years. And the reason for it is that they can't compete because in her, she's been starting and exiting businesses like for the last 4 or 5 years in AI. She's like, I started a business last week and I have 50 employees today. Like you can't, no matter what industry you're in, you can't compete with me when I have 50 employees in 7 days. So she said it's going to be this time of great prosperity for companies that are in this area who are building with AI in mind and we're starting with AI, but it's going to be incredibly destructive to companies that aren't. And so we talked about, well, could they bolt it? I'm trying to get small companies to bolt on AI in any ways that they can. And I think what you're saying is any opportunity you have to utilize AI, you should be doing it. Like even if it's just as simple as having a conversation with Claude about like what your approach is. It's just like you should be in there using it at all times. Do you think that's kind of like, is there any like things that you see beyond just like using it on a day-to-day basis, like that they can be using it more than how I've described it?
No, I mean, like you're saying, like you said, it's easy to say, use it all the time, and it's hard to actually do because you're like, what do I do? Because if you don't know what you don't know, it's hard to actually execute, So here's what I would do, which kind of goes in line with your origin story, but like, I'm going to lean on Claude only because I'm a big fan of a lot of things they're doing right now. One of the things they created and released last year, which I've been geeking out on, is called the Skills, which you get in Cowork. Skills is basically like a set of documents that just helps, like, let's just pretend like you had a human that you were onboarding and you actually took the time to document all of your processes, which most small businesses don't because they don't have time. Let's just say you did. And you said, okay, to do the bookkeeping every night at 5 o'clock, you have to go through these 10 steps, bam, 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 bam. And to do the store opening in the morning, you have to do this, bam. And when you write emails to people, here's the process to go to the email, to the CRM, to whatever. Like you're just describing to a new person, how in the heck do you do the job, right? Think about it like that, but AI can actually help you because instead of you writing it down, you just have a conversation saying, hey, I want to make what's called a skill, which is basically, it's called a markdown file. And before anyone gets crazy with it, literally all it is a way for the AI to make a hierarchy of saying, here's what the skill is about. Let's just say it's about bookkeeping. And it describes in the body of like step 1, do this, step 2, do this. It's just a description of how to do the job. It's like an SOP. And all you do is just start talking to the AI and saying, okay, I want to create skills. Again, you can do this in Claude that will help me operate in my business. And then you just describe, okay, first thing I want to pick. And again, use something that is like insanely annoying to you that you have to do pretty much every day, very repetitive, and say, I'm going to experiment making a skill for this thing, whatever that is. In the AI, you'll need to connect, like, let's just say it's in your accounting software. You need to hook up the accounting, and please know it's very secure. Like Claude's done a good job being secure. And you hook up that thing, and then you say, okay, today I'm going to make a skill or a process around how to do bookkeeping. And then you turn on the voice mode, and you just talk. First thing you do is this. Second thing I do is this. Third thing, and you just talk to it just like a regular person. and then it will create a skill based on that thing, and you put it in, it will train it for you, you'll take it through it once and just see if it works. If it doesn't, then you just talk to it again saying, first 5 steps were great, 6th step didn't make it, do it again, and it'll fix itself and change it, which is kind of crazy. So that's the first thing you do is like go into Claude, create a skill based on something you're actually using and seeing how well it can help you perform. And then over time, what you'll do is you start to expand. So you have this collection of skills that are doing all sorts of things in your business, like the small business for Claude or Claude for small business that's all it is. It's just a collection of skills. Now, one thing I'm going to put as a note to this, just to make sure you know, is that I actually think this is the best time to be a small business. I don't think it's the worst time. And I know people say it's going to be eradicated. I'm like, I see the opposite. I see things going the opposite direction to where it's the big businesses are having problems because we're in a world where anyone can make a website and get things up and running very quickly and have products and services that are awesome, and then have a pretty decent customer support mechanism because of AI. So I would look at this as a land of opportunity. Is it going to be disruptive? Yes. Is it going to mean you have to change what you do? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean it's not something you're not capable of doing,
Well, I think that's the problem. I think that it feels very overwhelming and companies are taking a wait and see attitude, and it's just too late to take wait and see at this point. You have to be adopting it. Otherwise, those are the companies that are going to go out of business. The ones that are just like resistant, reticent, can't figure it out, don't want to put their head around it.
Big and small. It doesn't matter what size company it is. If you do that, you're going to be gone in 5 years.
Exactly. I think that was kind of her point. Like, you got to start bolting this stuff on like immediately, Let's go back to that, what you just said, because I just want to, I really want to put a pin in this because it's, one of the things I love about doing the show is I feel like people get really very instructive information about what they can actually go do. So I want to just break that down a little bit for people. So we're talking about Cowork, so Claude Cowork, which is a paid service. You have to pay for it. And it is worth every dollar that you spend. In there, you get access to skills and connectors. And what Coach has just said about what to do is you kind of are utilizing two of those things. You're creating a skill and then you're using a connector. And the connector is your QuickBooks or whatever, with the case of this bookkeeping situation. So you would have those two. If you just wanted to start with this one thing, right? You're basically, because nobody likes doing their billing. This is like not fun for anybody. Right. So you would connect your QuickBooks as a connector and you would build a skill. Okay. Coach, I want you to just reiterate, after you've done this, I mean, I know the answer, but I want the audience to know the answer. After you've done this training and you've developed this skill in terms of the SOP, everything that you go do when you do your books, basically, and you feel like it's complete, how does that translate into it being done for you?
Well, again, using Claude as the example, there's obviously connectors, which just means it connects to your systems. The skills is the SOPs that tells the AI what the heck it's doing. And then you'll need to have, there's another thing called scheduled tasks, which means it just says at this time of day, make sure you run through whatever process. Like, for example, with this one, let's just say you get your bills or you get whatever you have in your email. So you would say to your Claude or to your agent that you're making, saying every day at 5 o'clock, go to my email, scan it for anything that's coming in today, and tell me what needs to be updated inside of my QuickBooks based on bills. And it'll go through, read all your emails, and update it for you automatically, and then give you a report saying, here's what's come in, here's what we need to do, here's what we need to take care of. So then it will become, again, like an assistant to help you know, like, you need to pay this bill next week, and this one's for a month from now, and this one's for next week, and it helps you kind of keep in line. The thing with this is that this is like, you have to imagine training an AI just like training a human, because if you had a brand new assistant who was a human doing this for you, scanning your email, doing this stuff, you would have to give it feedback. It's not a one and done thing, because the first time we'll probably be missing something, more than likely because you forgot to say it, not because the AI is not capable. The more you can communicate and the more in depth and more detailed you can be, just like a human. If you just say to someone, look at my 3 emails and tell me what's going on, like, okay, that's not very good direction. Like, what do you mean tell you what's going on? Like, what else do you need to know? And the good thing with AI, like, if you ever get stuck, again, with it doesn't matter what you do with AI, by the way, you just tell the AI saying, ask me questions that are not clear to you so that I can give you the information you need to perform the task of making sure my bills are up to date and things are getting paid. So if you just tell it, this is what I want to do, ask me all the questions you need to have to make sure this is right, and then you answer them. And again, do it all in voice mode. Turn on the voice mode and then read the question. Go, oh, I do this. And then you just talk to it. Then it'll create both the skills and make sure the process is ready. Then you test it. And I would say, like, test it on a dummy account so you don't feel like you're burning any customers or burning any bills. Just say, I'm going to send a test email to my own email, and you just run through the process and show me what it looks like. So that way you're not like messing thing up. You're not treating anybody bad. The AI is not doing anything stupid. You just test it out first. And then once you feel comfortable with it, then you try it. And then it's always an iteration process, because as you go, it's not that AI won't do good. It's that you think of new ideas, saying, oh, it would be really cool if we could do this. And you start thinking of new ideas and keep adding on to it. So that hopefully is the simplest, easiest way to do it, I would say, for someone. I wish I had a way I could do it. I'd just show you. But like, it's just being willing to think and operate a little bit differently, which is weird because you still have to treat it kind of like a human, because you have to train like a human. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like having a PhD work for you for free. Like it's like it really is. I mean, when I think that's a hard hurdle for people to get over, though. I think it is really hard for them to imagine that this AI agent that you've created, right, is like capable of what it's capable of doing. I think people really have a mental block on that. Like, are you saying that this can actually happen? And it's like, yes, I'm saying that this can actually happen, you know? And so I think that there's a little bit of a mental block on those types of things, that they just can't get past it. But thank you for going through that, because I think it's really helpful. And it can be done for a lot of different things. Like, it's, you know, and I always advise small businesses, think of something that's, like you said, just super annoying. Like something that you do every day that it's just like, oh, God, I wish I didn't have to do that, you know? And I think actually that's a lot of what I do when I create people's CRMs. It's like automating, and it's not even using AI. It's just automating processes that they do on a regular basis that are just annoying. Like you have a discovery call, and you need that person to have information about the discovery call before they get on it. It's an automatic email that goes out. Like, you don't need to do that every time. And so many people are like stuck in this, well, this is what I send every single time. And it's like, how much time are you spending doing that when you can just automate it, you know? So I think I try to get people to like not be so scared about AI and think about like automation of tasks, some of which can be done through like a CRM or some other software, and some which can be done in AI. And it's kind of like the marriage of those two things. And some can just be accelerated on the back end with AI, but the automation starts with like something simple like a CRM or software program, you know, or project management software program. So, okay. Any other like tips that you want to, that we haven't like talked about, things that you feel like, you know, people, small businesses should know about marketing and sales, and like what's ahead and what's coming?
Well, besides AI, because that's literally I think was coming. I'm going to say one thing to add to AI. Like when you think about, if everyone has, let's just say everyone in the world has access to cloud cowork. And so everyone has access to these amazing tools that spent billions of dollars on. The question there is, what makes an output from one person to the next different? And the answer is the person, the individual. So I would say that you may feel like that you're going to be left behind or eradicated, or someone with more budget or whatever is going to take place. Like, what I love about AI is it accelerates and amplifies your own genius. So there's something that you know about salons or massage or tires or whatever that's up to you, so that you would wield or use AI differently because of you. For example, this conversation you and I are having, I'm not the only marketer you'll be talking to. And obviously there's other people with AI, other people in marketing are way smarter than I am. But the combination of you and me talking together will create a unique content set that is unique to just us. Mm-hmm. And that unique content set is IP that I can use inside of AI that no one else can duplicate. Think about that from your own lens of like all the things you've done in your small business that's unique to you. That is IPable, motable, differentiator, competition, battle ready stuff that I don't think people really understand how powerful it is, because that is your differentiator, is you and your own experience in your own brain. So I would just say, again, that's why I love AI, is because it gives someone the power to amplify themselves way farther. And it just, anytime I hear how someone's thinking or treating AI, it shows me way more about them than it does about the AI. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think it's just another pitch for the origin story, right? The more that your AI understands about the uniqueness of who you are and where you've come from and your background story and your company's, you know, build story and how you approach proposals and what you put in your contracts and how you sell your business and your website and your right. And once it understands all of that, it is creating sort of a unique, very special approach to everything that you do, so that you actually, instead of AI feeling like very cold and like everything looks the same, it's impossible for it to look that way, because you've trained it to start with everything you do, I want you to refer back to this origin story. I want you to approach every answer with all the things that I've already shared with you about who I am. So I think that's like just super cool. Okay, lastly, so what is something like, because I always think cost is super important. Let's say a company wanted to put in like a Mindy, and let's say they had one specific area on their website where they were selling something that needed like a kind of a harder close or whatever. What does it cost to do that?
For OneMind specifically?
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
Why not?
There's a lot of factors. So the pricing works pretty simply, where it's about there is a base platform fee, I guess you could call it, which is what we do to train the AI in your business, and making sure everything's ready because it's a robust back end. And the second thing is use case. So the use case varies because it depends on how much web traffic you have and what the pricing is of your product. So it's like if it's a $50 product versus a $100,000 product, which we work with tech companies, this changes how the pricing works because of volume. So with that being said, now it can be anywhere from for every year 60, 70K to more than 100K per. But again, we're not talking like a chatbot for $200. We're talking about something that actually can close business and do something for you long term. So that's why you got to rethink about the value, because to have a full-time salesperson, you're thinking at least 70 to 100K with commissions to make sure things are going well. Easily. So think about it like that. Like, this is an AI salesperson who can do things for you, and that's the value. It's not a chatbot just answering questions and having them call you. It's like it's actually getting you business and revenue generating. So that's for us. But again, it all depends on volume. So like for us, just make sure I'm very clear. One of the use cases we do is the website. We just launched yesterday what's called a ride-along, which means on virtual calls like this, if it was Zoom, an expert, a sales engineer, or a technical engineer joins the call, and you can ask any question you want around anything you have. So if you have, like, for example, if we had like a Boston Dynamics, which has this deep, robust product set of stuff, it has all that's in its brain. So if I need to ask a question that I don't remember off the top of my head, if I need to show a slide, if I need to do a demo, it can all be done by the AI. So again, most small businesses don't have a large fleet of online selling people, but if you do, that's a great use case too. And then we're definitely more in the tech space, or at least I should say online product space, because a lot of what we do is like in product or helping to support people inside of products. So like, for example, if you have a technology as your product, like you're selling an AI service, it would be inside of the technology itself, walking someone through how to use it after they've bought it. So it helps you have that support after the fact. So again, it's thinking about how can you scale a really good sales team, a really good customer success or service team, and using it as an example, it's like a Claude on steroids. It's a whole other version of what you're going through. So kind of cool.
So cool. Well, I could see it even being helpful in to salespeople who go into emergency rooms and are advising doctors on the tool that they're putting in or the new knee or whatever. Like, it'd be great to have a ride along to make sure that yes, I'm accurately answering that question as you're putting this knee into this person in real time. So super interesting. I have really enjoyed this conversation. You've given our audience like an amazing amount of free, amazing tips that they can kind of implement today, and I'm excited for people to start telling me that they're using co-work and creating little agents.
Please, if you don't do anything for today except for that, I'll say it's too late. If you do one thing, go to OneMind and have the experience with MarTech, because I'm going to ask that. But secondly, there's tons of good AI out there. It really, you can get a lot of good value, but I really would tell people, if you get anything, get co-work, because it is awesome. And we don't get paid commissions for this. Like, I'm not an Anthropic ambassador. I get no affiliate.
Me neither. I should be, though.
I know you should have that.
How do I get that gig?
How do we get that? I'll do that all day long. Yeah.
Exactly. Me too. Well, thank you for your time. Where can people find you?
Just on my LinkedIn. I can give you my link on LinkedIn. Just Jonathan Kvarfordt there, and then just onemind.com. The best place to go.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.